Hello everyone and welcome to our 7th feature race of the 2015 Mopar Canadian National Superbike Championship Series at the famous Grand Prix venue at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. I'm your series announcer Frank Wood. Coverage of the final event of the 7-race series of the 2015 Mopar CSBK National Tour is presented by Honda Canada, Magneti Marelli, and Pro Cycle in Halifax. Our onboard video support comes from Drift Cameras. Here we go now for round 7 of the Mopar Pro Superbike National Championship, the final round of 2015. Let's have a look at our grid.
So, row 6, Stacy Nesbitt in contention for the Rookie Pro Honors aboard her Honda 600, number 316. Also, Ring Your Grease on his BMW 113. Jeff Williams hasn't started due to ignition issues with his Yamaha. Justin Napick is on the inside with his Kawasaki number 9 from Edmonton.
Let's have a look now at row number 5, wherein we find number 47, Yamaha-mounted Will Hornblower out of Sarnia, Ontario. From position 17 alongside him, the other rookie contender for Pro Rookie of the Year, number 46 out of Peterborough, Ontario, Tommy Casas on the Yamaha. Sean Haydorn alongside on the number 2 BMW, he hailing in from Stouffville, Ontario. And rounding out row number 5, starting from P15, is the number 72 bike of Billy Etheridge out of Lawrenceville, Georgia.
Etheridge is the Dunlop development rider in the USA as the field heads into turn 3 on their warm-up lap. Row 4 is made up of 71 Chris Garvey on his Honda, 711 Franklin Dominguez aboard a Kawasaki, and Sean Huffman rejoining the series with his 777 numbered BMW S1000RR.
We move up now to row number 3. Position number 11 is the number 74 BMW of Michael Leon hailing in from Beaconsfield, Quebec. Alongside him, another Quebec rider out of Mirabel, Quebec, mounted on the Kawasaki that wears the number 24. That is Sebastien Tremblay. Then from position number 9 is the number 19 BMW, Tim Robinson, he hailing in from Gatineau, Quebec. And rounding out row 3 in from Mississauga, Ontario, on the Suzuki 116, Trevor Daly.
As we head into turn 8 off the back straight, Darren James takes up the outside of row 2 aboard his Yamaha, joining the series on a Superbike for the second time. He started yesterday. He's from Deep Cove, British Columbia. 6th on the grid, Chris Murray Odin had a brilliant effort yesterday on his BMW, and the inside pole of row 2, Jody Christie, our outgoing champion on his Honda number 1.
And up to the front row, starting from 4th position, is Kenny Reedman, mounted on the number 42 Kawasaki. He's from Bellefontaine, Ontario. Then we have the Mississauga rider, Matt McBride, who's riding the number 13 BMW, starting from position number 3. Starting from 2nd position is number 101 Jordan Zoke on board the BMW. He recently from Linden, Ontario. And from pole position is Alex Welsh, mounted on the number 7 Yamaha in from Uxbridge, Ontario. The grid is formed, and we'll look now to the Blue Streak Racing starting lights to launch this one. Now there's a bit of a pause, of course. The pause can go anywhere from 1 to 4 seconds, as you know, Colin, and sometimes the riders get a little antsy waiting for those 4-second starts, and we may be into one of them right now, as a matter of fact.
Under starter's orders, Frank.
Waiting patiently, the lights go off and the field launches, and they are away. Jordan Zoke getting a very good start there, but it's Alex Welsh who has taken the point. Welsh now in front of Zoke, and we'll go for a ride with Zoke as we come out of turn number 1. Now we look back from Welsh's back fender on the Yamaha, and look at now as we are on board with Jody Christie, looking back at Matt McBride and Sebastien Tremblay. Kenny Reedman, sorry.
Coming down the hill through 2, that double apex downhill corner for the first time. Here we thread our way into 3, and you can see it's already busy at the front as everybody's trying to establish their position early.
Reedman comes out today on a green Kawasaki. He was riding in round 6 yesterday. The Sturgis Cycle Kawasaki painted in white. GE Capital helping to sponsor that machine. Down into Moss's corner on this lap number 1, and Welsh continues to lead over Zoke and Christie as they start their first run up the straightaway.
Drift camera on the side of Jordan Zoke's BMW really gives you an idea of the workout as you launch well over 180 horsepower up this back straight, which gets incredibly narrow as you pick up speed and you hit the crest of the hill here, and then have to pick up your braking marker. And look at Christie working Zoke on the outside.
Christie now, he looks like he might take a stab at Welsh as well. Christie just made a beautiful pass there on Zoke on the outside, as you mentioned, and now has lined up Welsh. Obviously, Christie wanting some redemption on this day. I'm sure he would like to get out front and stay there.
Speaking of redemption, Alex Welsh joined the series yesterday. He put it on pole in the morning. He led briefly in the afternoon before he fell in turn 3. So you can bet that Hindle Parts Canada effort are really looking to get a decent result today to maybe launch their effort moving into next year.
On board with Kenny Reedman right now. He's running in 4th spot. Matt McBride in 5th spot in behind him, but I think the top 4 riders are starting to put a little bit of distance as we have another look at Jody Christie, and Christie has a look on the inside of Alex Welsh, but there is no room at that point in time. Christie staying right in his wheel tracks now as they head down the hill, down through turn number 4 underneath the Continental Bridge, and they'll be in Mosses in just one moment. Here they come.
Christie is definitely the feisty guy right now. Yesterday he was maybe slightly careful, but he's much more aggressive early on here. It's good to see our outgoing champion really feeling his oats, and of course it's been a tough year for Christie and the Honda program with accelerated technology, so it's good to see him running at the front. And look at this freight train of drafting superbikes up the back straight.
Kenny Reedman staying right on the back wheel of Jordan Zoke, then he pulls out and pulls up alongside him now and has made a decisive pass on him and is tucked in behind Christie as both of them go in front of Welsh, and they're dragging Zoke along for the ride as well.
Welsh ducks under Welsh, and I think, Zoke's dumped. Zoke got under Welsh there. That was a little bit of a tense moment that had me wondering.
Welsh now all of a sudden goes from 1st place to 4th place on this lap number 2, and Christie's out front exactly where he wants to be. He has a statement to make on this day, and up alongside him comes his good buddy Kenny Reedman, and Reedman taking the pass and making that outside move coming through turn number 2. That's a little brave, I would comment.
Early in the race, you don't expect that. We saw some interesting moves with Reedman and Zoke doing that, but Christie is much more in the mix and much sooner in the mix this time. Good to see, and I think Welsh is wondering if he needs to pick up the pace. He's going to get scrubbed off if he's not careful.
Well, the top 4 riders getting a little bit of distance on the rest of the pack, but meanwhile up front, Kenny Reedman on the Kawasaki down into Moss's corner. Jody Christie right on his wheel tracks there, and Jordan Zoke sitting back watching the action. And Welsh indeed has closed up on Zoke, and he stays very much a part of this contest.
Crucial through this part of the track to get a very tidy exit of Moss. That hairpin you see in the distance, get tucked in and make sure you're on the power as early and as smoothly as you can be. These bikes have lots of electronic aids, but when you're putting close to 200 horsepower through that big Dunlop slick, being precise is not always easy.
As we work on this lap column, we have rapidly developed into 2 4-man races. As you'll note, Reedman up front with Christie, Zoke, and Welsh, and then we have a battle going on behind with Matt McBride involved in that, and I think Chris Murray O'Dane is again up to speed as he was yesterday in battling with McBride and 2 other riders that we'll identify in just one moment.
So at the moment we're line astern, and this of course is how you turn the good lap times and you can break clear. Of course the problem here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park is that long uphill back straight, and you can get sucked back into the draft, the slipstream of the motorcycle ahead, and if there's a group they can pull everybody up. Yesterday we saw them close up at the front to the point where mid-race we had 7 or 8 bikes in the lead battle.
Christie was having a brief look to the inside of the Kawasaki that Reedman's riding as they entered turn number 3, but obviously has not made a move, nor did Reedman give him the opportunity to get it done. But here he comes down off of 4 and into Moss's corner, rather, and our champion has taken the lead. The 2015 champion, should I mention, 2014 champion, rather, on the number 1 Honda. Jody Christie now has taken the race lead, and he's given himself a little bit of a cushion, but I got a sneaking suspicion that's going to get eaten up on this straightaway. And sure enough, there is Reedman right on his back wheel.
Yesterday we saw time and again Reedman making it work easily in the draft. That bike has lots of power. But look at Christie monstering him under in the brakes, and that was Christie very brave into 8 and really showing what he's capable of in terms of aggression, not horsepower.
Boy, I was just about to say Reedman was going to make the pass and make it work, but Christie did not allow that to happen, and Christie now out onto the front straightaway, and he leads this 4-man train as they steam down into turn number 1 to begin lap number 5.
Quarter distance, and we've established a solid lead group. It's not really much different from yesterday.
Reedman on the move. Reedman's made the pass on Christie entering turn number 2. Reedman has taken the race lead on the Kawasaki. Number 42, Kenny Reedman, now leads over Jody Christie, Jordan Zoke, and Alex Welsh.
And you can see they've actually closed up a little bit there. That was a pretty gung-ho move, really, from Reedman on the outside at the top of 2. That is a daunting proposition, and over again in the last couple of weekends we've seen Reedman showing that he is now comfortable on a superbike. He's our reigning sport bike champion with the Hindle sponsorship, but to be this fast and this aggressive in your first season on a superbike, your first time on a superbike at Mosport, your first weekend, is really something.
I think the 6 races that we've run in this season so far have have conditioned me, because I was just about to say, Colin, I keep waiting for Zoke to make his move as he moves up behind Christie. And indeed, he has made a move on Christie and made the pass, and now he sets off. Oh, Christie returns the favor at the top of the hill here as they peel off into turn number 8. Christie is feisty, I think was the word you used, Colin.
Well, and Christie is just not putting up with it. Yesterday he was maybe a little conservative, cautious. He's been struggling a bit, and it just looks like he's got more confidence and he's got the hammer down. Of course, this is the last race of the year. If you want to make a statement, now's the time.
Indeed, and I'm sure a lot of riders are thinking just that, including Kenny Reedman, who has yet to score a Superbike win in the CSBK series. As we well know, he has been dominant in the Hindle Exhaust Pro Sport Bike class with 2 national championship victories here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park this weekend to wrap up that title. But he's hungry, and there goes Zoke up alongside Christie, and Christie will have nothing of it. I was going to say that Reedman is hungry for a Superbike win.
Yes, and don't forget, Reedman doesn't have one. Christie has a few. Alex Welsh has a few dating back, 2 of them at Mosport. Jordan Zoke has 51.
Christie on the move once more as they come down into Mosses off of turn number 4. I thought he was going to take the lead there, but slowly and surely Reedman closed the door on him and now jets away as they get up onto the back straightaway. Now that Kawasaki horsepower pulling it like crazy up the Mario Andretti straightaway.
Let's see what Zoke does at the back of this drafting trio. Welsh not too far behind, and so far playing his cards very close to his chest this time, maybe happy to wait it out.
Yeah, yesterday rather he was up front and battling for the race lead. In fact, I think he had the race lead when he crashed in turn number 3, so playing a more cagey game this time around is Alex Welsh. Now we follow Kenny Reedman and Jody Christie as we're on board with Jordan Zoke out onto the front straightaway once more, and the number 42 green bike. I thought he would catch me up, and sure enough he did. I thought it was Sebastien Tremblay when I first caught sight of him. So Tremblay, of course, riding on the number 24 bike, and here goes Zoke. He pulls up alongside Christie. He has cleanly got past Christie, and he is right now on the back wheel of Kenny Reedman. Now you have a look from Zoke's bike onto Reedman's bike. We were just looking back from Reedman at Zoke, and Zoke now making the move on the inside of turn number 3, and he has made the pass. Jordan Zoke goes to the point.
That pass was butter. It was nice and easy, nothing aggressive, no surprises, didn't work the tires hard, didn't scare anybody, and that's Jordan Zoke showing everybody else that when the time comes, he can move. A couple of very smooth choices he made there, and look at here, very respectful. Everybody line astern, they're pulling the trigger nice and easy, nobody's jamming anybody up. So these guys right now are trusting each other. Of course, other people join the mix. It can get a little complicated, and they don't like it when they see people they don't know at the front.
Just got a glimpse rather of that 4-man race that was running in behind, but breaking away from that 4-man race has been the number 116, I believe it is, of Trevor Daly. It's Kenny Reedman and Jordan. Oh, down goes Christie. Holy cow, the bike is just flipping over through the straw bales up onto the tires. Christie is up, obviously okay, but hugely disappointed. What a huge crash for Christie, and thankfully Colin, he is unhurt.
I think he got just a little bit wide there, and he tried to keep the speed up, and there just wasn't quite enough traction. It can happen so easily. Jody had a big crash there last year in the sport bike race, and it's very demoralizing. He did a lot of damage to one of his super bikes in Edmonton, and that bike's going to be a mess. And at the end of the season, they don't have a lot of resources moving forward. So it's so discouraging when he was riding so well and really looked like he had a serious shot at his first win of the season in Superbike.
He deserves better. He really does. This has been a tough year for Christie, and what a way for it to end. But I'm very, very thankful to see him stand up and walk away from that, obviously unhurt. So Daly now becomes the 4th man in the fray, and he is somewhat off the pace, being set by Zoke, Reedman, and Welsh as they peel out of turn number 5 and begin their charge uphill all the way up into turn number 8.
But historically, whether it's Alex Welsh or famously Bodie Eady, you can be fairly far back and get sucked up into this draft. And I honestly think Trevor Daly is close enough to join. And there you can see Daly, and this is a wide-angle lens. He is not that far back. And again, Reedman, just so much oomph with that ZX-10R built by Scott Cameron.
Well, this will be a huge statement for Kenny Reedman if he can put this win in the books, especially after such a successful weekend.
Super wide there into 10. Not much of a line, but he picks up the throttle. Look at Zoke spinning the tire a bit. Obviously, he's turned the TC down. And, Jordan Zoke's the guy who probably could ride these bikes without traction control.
Reedman has best be careful. He's leaving the lid off the teapot, and that's an invitation for somebody to come visiting. And Zoke is the first one in line, of course, as he closes up on Reedman, now coming down off of turn number 2. down into the valley, and they'll take a quick short shoot up into turn number 3. That's exactly where Welsh went down yesterday, but cleanly around the corner for the last few laps, and still on board, of course. No worries with the gas consumption apparently today. They had to do a fill-up just before the start of yesterday's race, but apparently they did a little bit of work on the bike and give it a little more room in the gas tank to make it ready for today's race and make sure that it can go the entire 20 laps should Welsh be able to stay on board that long.
So let's look at our strategies. We head up that Mario Andretti back straight once again, and we know that Riedman has a fast bike, and Riedman's shown a lot of different moves. Zoke pulls out and works the draft. Zoke's been careful, and it looked to me like he actually rolled out of it just for a split second. The guy most careful is Welsh. He hasn't played any cards up. Christie was being pretty aggressive, so we see a lot of different approaches. And although it's great to see how hard Riedman's riding, it just worries me that he's showing a lot of what his choices would be on those last couple of laps.
Is Zoke being coy here? I mean, he was obviously lined up to make a pass there, and he seemed to actually back off and get on the brakes. He come up alongside Kenny Riedman there, and Riedman swings over in front of him and takes back the racing line. Continues to hold the race lead, at least for a moment, as they go up into turn number 2, absolutely side by side at the brink of the hill there, as on the inside, Jordan Zoke now down into the valley. The short shoot up into 3. Here goes Kenny Riedman now to the inside of Zoke in number 3, and he has taken the race lead once more. Welsh has got a great view of this race.
Right, and these are smooth passes, not holding people up too much, but what's impressive to me is that Zoke can make a move whenever he wants to, it seems like, and he's so comfortable at this pace. I would have expected him to see if he could break their spirit a little bit. That really hasn't happened. Maybe he's that comfortable after yesterday's race that he can fumble them through on the last lap.
It seems to me, Colin, perhaps they have picked up the pace a bit, and I'm basing that on the fact that Daly has not been able to close on them. Zoke right on the back wheel now of Kenny Riedman. He swings out to the right and has a quick look there. Will he pull up alongside? No, he thinks better of it once more. And under the Canadian Tire Bridge they go. Kenny Riedman, Jordan Zoke, and Alex Welsh running 1, 2, 3. Trevor Daly sitting back there on the Parts Canada, Suzuki Canada GSXR 1000, patiently waiting for his chance to run up front.
And we're talking about Zoke and what he's capable of looking. He always comes up tight here, and he looks on the ends. There's okay. He made it work, but so many times he's set up for that move and not done it. Same thing's happening on the back straight, and Welsh is just sitting there so close, hasn't tried anything yet.
And where we thought Daly was going to be joining this fray, the last little glimpse we got of him, it looks like he's back into that battle, the 4-man battle with Matt McBride, and I think Chris Murray O'Dane is involved in that as well. But meanwhile, the action up front continues to be fast and ferocious. These top three riders have really put some distance on the rest of the field, and we have a 3-horse race out front.
Here they come down the chute, one of the most daunting pieces of racetrack in North America. Really, really fast stuff, and Zoke looks so comfortable in these fast sections. Turn 2, that double apex turn, he's made a lot of passes there. Riedman made a couple of passes too, and we saw Murray O'Dan be crazy brave there yesterday. So here we are up the back straight, and I predict Riedman will go howling by.
We'll see what happens. I asked Zoke before the race, was he going to give one of the youngsters a chance to win a Superbike race, and he looked at me as though I was crazy, and he simply said, no, Riedman makes the pass right underneath the bridge, and Riedman now with about 4 or 5 bike lengths over Zoke. That was a very decisive pass, Colin.
Yes, and it was not the first one we've seen in roughly that area, and Riedman carries lots of speed and uses that wide line in 8. He has this very tight, almost blocking line in 10, and again, I'm concerned that he's showing so much to Zoke so soon.
Zoke has a look once more to the inside as they peel off into one, and again, this time around, Kenny Riedman maintains his lead by closing the door on Zoke, and it looks like Welsh has got something starting to cook now. I believe he's starting to come up to a boil. We'll see if he has some action for our race leaders right now. Big gap there left by Kenny Riedman. Jordan Zoke, I'm sure, was teased by it, but refused to get drawn into it.
Daly's under some pressure there in 4th, and meanwhile, Welsh has looked a few times but hasn't acted on it, and I feel like he's being cagey this time. You know, completely different strategy. He knows he can turn the pace. It isn't just pole. He now knows he has the race pace. I know they've been trying to figure out the best choice of Dunlop tires. Of course, they don't have the experience because they haven't been on the tour all year, so a little bit of time to catch up. It's a new bike, and that always makes things complicated. So to come with a new bike to a track like this at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, park and be competitive. And when we say competitive, he may win this thing. That's an astounding effort, really, from the Hindle Group.
No kidding, and to take pole position right off the bat, I think makes a statement for them. And it looks like we've had a mishap down there. I believe that's Moss's. It's Trevor Daly and Darren James, and they're all okay with it. James giving him the thumbs up. Something went wrong there. Both riders down, but both riders up and okay, and seemingly able to rejoin the fray. I don't know if James got going there, but Daly definitely did.
Here we go down into turn 1, and you can continue to see the pace of Riedman and his growing comfort with leading this race. And once again, we know Zoke can make this pass move, and he didn't do it. And then you go down this hill, the double apexer, just crazy speed through here, and really got to have confidence in the bike and what it's capable of. And again, look at this. Zoke seems to be able to go on either side, and he's not doing it much, but he seems to have it well lined up, and I think he's very aware of where he can move. And if things get hectic on the last lap, he has multiple choices.
Welsh was starting to look like he's going hunting here. And that last footage we saw there, I thought for sure Jordan Zoke might have a little Kawasaki green on the side of that Mopar Express Lane, a BMW Motorrad S1000 RR. And Daly now starting to close up once more. Is it
Chris Murray O'Dan? Remember, Daly
he's back in it again today.
Daly got caught up with James. Those two were both moving up, and so the only guy left of that battle for fourth is Murray O'Dan, and now he's right there.
Process of elimination. Chris Murray O'Dane, over 50 years of age. What a comeback, if you call it that. I mean, he doesn't appear on our tour very often. And yesterday, what a statement he made. He actually almost took the race lead at one point and had the second fastest lap of the race to Jordan Zoke. And Zoke, by the way, recorded his fastest lap yesterday on the last lap.
Yeah, and Murray O'Dan is part of the conversation once again, and he's worked his way up. And I don't know what happened with James and with Daly, but it didn't hurt Murray O'Dan, who was part of that discussion. Look at this. This time Riedman shuts the door on the exit of one. He's aware where Jordan's looking.
O'Dane has got to be on a vicious pace, Colin. He came from nowhere rather, catching me totally unawares. If it had been Daly or McBride, I would have expected it. I did not expect it on this day from Chris Murray O'Dane, but he is obviously back up to the same pace we saw, the blistering pace that he set yesterday.
Kawasaki, BMW, Yamaha, BMW. It's a really amazing variety of bikes.
What a pass by Kenny Riedman on the outside of turn number 4. That's a bit of bravery with a capital B, Colin.
And look at them line up to pull the trigger on the back straight. Nobody's getting too ambitious in Moss Corner. We haven't seen any block passes yet, and we saw a couple of yesterday that were fairly ambitious, we could say safely. And here we see Riedman pulling the train, and so far either he has just enough or Zoke won't do it. And look, once again, it looked like Zoke won't make the pass, even though he could. And Welsh is back to looking again.
Yep. Insights, if you will, Colin, that seemed to be a bit of a statement by Kenny Riedman, making a brave pass on the outside of turn number 4. That's a very daunting corner to get through by yourself, never mind making a pass on the outside.
Well, the young gun so far, and Christie is a veteran, Riedman is relatively new to Superbike, but they're, look at that, wow. Riedman taking the spot back or not letting Zoke keep it.
And they were perfectly side by side crossing the finish line.
Riedman and Christie are about the same age, and certainly the most ambitious and creative and exciting passes so far have been from those two. Unfortunately, Christie's not in this hunt for the lead anymore. However, having said that, so much of this is a chess match at Mosport, getting ready for the last lap. It's so hard to break the draft. And I know I go over it again and again, but you don't want to let the people around you know every trick you have up your sleeve. And Zoke is so good at this, and he's so careful not to show them much. And as the race gets closer to the finish, and we're a few laps out now, it just seems like Jordan has more opportunities to create a pass where maybe the other guys don't expect it or can't do it themselves.
So Kenny Riedman and Jordan Zoke are playing show and tell. Meanwhile, the guy that's not showing any cards at all is Welsh. He's sitting back there, and I've got a sneaking suspicion he's going to uncork one of these go-rounds.
And Zoke pulled right into the draft and then rolled out just a little bit, I think. I'm guessing, and of course we've got tire choice, we've got traction control, we've got the way the bikes are set up chassis-wise. There's so many variables, but in the end, you've got to be able to ride the package you've got, and confidence at Mosport, the ability to be aggressive in these fast sections and to use the track, to know where you can pass, where the line's not too bumpy, where the pavement seams are safe to cross. This is a crazy fast track, and of course, Chris Murray-O'Dan basically only races at the crazy fast tracks.
Riedman holding his line there. Zoke comes up on the inside of him. It looked like he might be going to attempt something there, but Riedman held his line and keeps Zoke at bay. Meanwhile, here comes Welsh. Up into turn number 3, I thought he was going to make a move on him, and Zoke has taken the lead once more from Kenny Riedman as they swap positions once more. I was watching Welsh there, expecting him to be doing something, but meanwhile, the two ponies up front continue to kick at one another.
And here we go once again, Frank. You know, we have the top 4 closer together late in the race than they were on the first lap, right? And here we go. This is a slipstream. This is what forces these races to be so close. The air gets moving. The guy in front moves the most air, and typically the guy in front suffers. But when the guy in front is Riedman, and we're on board with Riedman with that drift camera right now, he doesn't suffer much. He's got a lot of power, and let's see if he can make that crazy outside pass, and he's doing it.
He sure as heck did. Under the Canadian Tire Bridge once more and into turn number 8. Kenny Riedman on the GE Capital Sturgis Cycle Ninja Kawasaki ZX-10R leading this national championship race, and maybe, just maybe, Colin on his way to his first national championship Superbike win. Zoke pulls up alongside very briefly. Zoke holds his line into turn number 1. Oh, look at this. Riedman is leaning on him now in turn number 1. They sprint now off into turn number 2. Will Riedman try that outside daunting downhill pass on him? Not this time around. He's going to stick in his wheel tracks as now down to the bottom of 2 they go. Into the short chute and up towards turn number 3. Welsh goes very wide there. Riedman holds the inside line and in pursuit of Zoke now coming out of 3.
So Zoke's blocking very well. Pardon me. Riedman's making an inside line in the last turn. It doesn't look like Zoke can get under him and make it to the line in front. That's what he's trying to figure out. So I think it's got to play out as it typically has and as it did yesterday in 8 and 9. And of course, that's partly horsepower and partly bravery. And we've seen a couple of years ago, side by side with Zoke and Welsh, with one of the most awesome, terrifying moments in the history of this series when Welsh beat Zoke. Of course, Zoke had to try and win the championship. There goes Riedman once again on the outside. This time, Zoke's already won the championship, and he's trying for his second perfect season, which is an unbelievable effort. Very few racers can do that. And Zoke's off the leash, right? He's got the title.
Exactly.
He's won most of what he needs to. He's got a lot of his bonuses. So now he can look to make that perfect year. And that is a very difficult thing. Look at him try. That time Beautiful. It would have worked. He would have actually won the draft to the line, or the drag race to the line.
Yeah, Zoke's got to feel pretty good today. As you well know, he was presented with a $10,000 check this morning at the riders' meeting. John Camilleri from Mopar, his bonus for winning the championship. So Zoke getting the big check this morning and now heading off for a payday, it seemed, here at round number 7. He has the race lead, and I don't know whether Kenny or Alex are going to be able to mount a charge now. Zoke pulling out of turn 3 and heads off into turn number 4, and he's starting to get some distance here, Colin.
2.5 laps to go. Question is Alex Welsh going to show us something? And he's not pulling out anywhere near enough. This is a meaningless advantage when you're heading up the back straight. It's particularly meaningless when Riedman on that Kawasaki are right behind. Because so far,
the advantage he's got, like 10 or 12 bike lengths. Is he going to make that
Just
up?
wait.
Patiently we will wait, and we'll go on board just briefly with Kenny Riedman, but Zoke leading now as they come up the back straightaway. We do have a lapper they'll have to deal with, that rider moving over cleanly and giving us lots of room. I think that's Chris Garvey.
Yeah, and I think he's actually not a lapper. He's having a problem with that Honda. He's had a tough year. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, they are coming up another slower rider. As we mentioned that, though, as they come out of turn number 9, we're on board right now with the GE Capital Sturgis Cycle Kawasaki of Kenny Riedman. And Zoke getting a little bit of wiggle there on the exit of turn number 10.
More traffic up ahead, Frank, too, and we've got just under 2 laps to go, and it's getting complicated.
This could be a deciding factor. Maybe this is what Welsh is waiting for. Welsh is waiting for our top 2 riders to get into lap traffic, and then he may uncork one. And that lapped rider, I think that's Stacey Nesbitt, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, and Zoke couldn't make it work. It actually held him up just a little bit and helped Riedman, and there's Welsh making it by no trouble. So if anything, Zoke lost just a bit in that shuffle.
And if anybody had got the advantage from it, I would suggest that Alex Welsh did. And
Look
Welsh
at him trying the inside there. It's, he's starting to think about it.
Yeah.
The question is, after his fall yesterday, is he more concerned about just putting it on the box, right, to make sure you bring it home? And here, this is crucial, Frank. This is the second last trip up the hill, so we're going to see a lot this time.
Well, Welsh has made the final pass in turn number 10 here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park before. He knows full well that the only time you have to be in front of this race is when you come out of 10 and carry it through to the checkered flag. We'll see whether that is what he has in mind. Kenny Riedman now on the inside of Zoke, heading into turn number 8. A beautiful pass by Riedman. Zoke leaving the door wide open for him.
So that's what's interesting there is that time Riedman went up the inside and he held the tight line. He didn't drift back out again the way it happened yesterday. So we saw a little something different, and that's good that he can do it. But again, I don't think he should have shown that to Jordan.
Leaving no room in turn 10. Jordan seemed to be able to pull up alongside him on the front straightaway here. And now on the outside of turn number 1, Jordan Zoke just about on the grass now. And Riedman going through turn number 2. Oh, he left enough room and Zoke is through.
I think that was a courtesy, but of course you don't really want to lead this part of the lap, right? Because this is setting you to tow up the straight, and we know Riedman seems to have the edge on the back straight. So look at Welch
big
there.
Moment there for Welch.
Really spinning the tire. So he's either adjusting the traction control or decided to see what that tire's capable of on the last lap of a 20-lap race. And see, right now it still looks to me like Riedman's in the driver's seat based on what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah. He's going to trying to pick up the draft here off of Jordan Zoke as we go looking back from Kenny Riedman. Now we're looking forward with Kenny Riedman, and here we go for a ride on that Kawasaki up the back straightaway. Now we pick up on it from the outside, on board once more with Kenny Riedman, who makes the pass early this time, Colin, and Zoke trying to return the favor, backs off and falls in behind Kenny Riedman as they start to Zoke, a beautiful pass. That was absolutely surgical.
I think there was a hesitation, but he's trying to make it back. Here we go.
Riedman to the inside. No, the door has been closed. The sprint now down to the finish line. Jordan Zoke leads. And there it goes. He has number 52. He's done it again, Colin. Jordan Zoke has scored another victory in Canadian Superbike racing. Holy cow.
And I think 52 is an impressive number, but 7 for 7. He did it once before in 2010, but the field wasn't quite as deep. So 2 perfect seasons in pro Superbike, and that just doesn't happen. You know, that's a Ricky Carmichael motocross type achievement. It's just so rare in professional sports. You know, Jordan Zoke has been a front runner and a pace setter, particularly at this venue, since the 90s.
The only thing he missed out on is 2 pole positions, one at Calabogie that he lost to Jody Christie, and of course here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Where is he going? He's going backwards on the track.
Well, this is
What's this all
this is a
about?
NASCAR thing, and they call it, and it's not meant as an ethnic slur, a Polish victory lap, because a guy named Alan Kowicki used to do it in those races. And what Jordan's doing is he's taking advantage of all this paved runoff to have a little bit of fun. And I think, you know, over the years Jordan's had a lot of entertaining antics on his victory lap. So he's come up with something we haven't seen before: the wrong way round. And of course, when you're the winner, you're the only. Here he is going the wrong way down the hill into Moss Corner. Of course, there's going to be a lot of people there watching, this will go over very big.
There was actually a big sign on the fence down there that some of the fans had put up encouraging him to go Zoke, go for championship number 10.
Yeah, one of them was Z-O-K-E, but I'm sure he knew what they meant. But yeah, there you go. Zoke is now going the wrong way up the hill. And there he is in turn 3, where he certainly had some impressive efforts. And we saw Alex Welch really use that Dunlop to its maximum. And I believe, by the way, Frank Welch got second there, if I'm not wrong. It was close at the finish.
It was very close at the finish, but Welch was able to sneak by. You know, we were so concentrating on Zoke, but looking back on it, Welch did get second. Kenny, I thought for sure you were going to win this thing.
So did I. No, obviously Jordan knows what he's doing, and I thought that I learned in the first race how to kind of outsmart him on the last lap, and I still failed to do that. And so, you know, still learning apparently. Next year, you know, gonna go for wins, but you know, just really happy to finish off the race and debut the Kawasaki Green on our ZX10 for the first time this year.
Well, Alex, I didn't have a chance to say it to you yesterday, but this is official. Welcome back, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to be back. You know, what can I say about the Yamaha R1? You know, essentially we started with this motorcycle at Hindle Exhaust probably about, building it about a week and a half ago. Scott, Willie Vass, Mark Orchard, we just put together an incredible crew. The motorcycle, it's just essentially a stock bike, and I'm a washed up motorcycle racer. So, and that's the truth of it. So, it's a lot of fun to be back. Everybody's been so grateful, welcoming me back. with open arms, and it was a lot of fun.
Jordan, once more, we say congratulations for the 7th time this year and the 52nd Superbike Championship win. Well done.
Yeah, you know, it's one thing to win a race; it's another to win a perfect season. And I've been lucky to do this twice now. And in motorsports, it's not always the rider's fault. Most of the time, it is when we fall or make a mistake. And the other times, you know, there's mechanical issues, there's track conditions, there's all kinds of things that can take you out. So, what an amazing feat, you know, for myself, but the whole team really, and BMW for giving us such a consistent motorcycle. And that's really awesome. But I want to make it clear to all the fans out there, and I know you guys seen it today. I have 52 wins, and that's a huge number, but they have all been, most of them have all been wicked races like that. I mean, when you think back at that, look at the battle we had out there the last 2 days, and you guys have really been treated to something. I'm glad I was a part of it, and I'm glad you were here to see it. I love the fans around here. They're so supportive, and they just love the racing and everything that happens here. So thank you to them so much, and Dunlop for giving us such a great tire out there to give you a great battle out there. The tires were awesome. I did my fastest lap of the weekend on the last lap, and it was just an awesome season. I'm not going to get too many more of those seasons, that's for sure, especially these two young guys here. And I look forward to representing just as well as I can next year. Thank you.
Well said. Ladies and gentlemen, your champion Jordan Zoki will carry the number 1 plate on the front of his BMW through the 2016 season. But now we recognize the accomplishments of our top 3 riders.